Hi there. Today's book is actually a series of books written by Masatoshi Nakayama, who was the chief instructor of the Japan Karate Association. And Master Nakayama wrote several books, notably Dynamic Karate, which was kind of an encyclopedia of the art, and also a series on individual kata, very detailed. I met him when I was in Tokyo a couple of times, and he certainly was a major figure in the scene at the time. And together with Don Draeger, he produced a whole series of books called Practical Karate, which covered the self-defense aspect. Now, I don't really know how much input Don had, possibly the translations and so on, but I did speak to Don about this, and all I can remember him talking about really was how they got the various gaijin, the foreigners, who acted as the assailants in the books together. Several of them were staying at Don's house in Ichigaya, which he used to have as a sort of dormitory for visiting martial arts students. And so quite a few of the guys from different types of martial arts, judo, etc., were recruited to act as the assailants. So there were 6 books in the series. First, Fundamentals. Second was Unarmed. Third was Multiple Assailant Situations. Fourth was Armed Situations. Fifth was Women's Self-Defense. And sixth was Special Situations, which included vehicle, handgun, hands being tied, and so on. Now, really what the books do is they take the fundamentals of Shotokan and apply it in various self-defense situations. I would say that some of the escapes from holes are probably the most practical part of the book. That would tend to work. Some of the other things you can have doubts with. Now, having said that, in my opinion, a high level, black belt level karate practitioner can usually take care of himself or herself physically, has got the physical skills. The thing is about the books, that Japan is a very peaceful place, even now, and back then even more so. Crime's very low, violence is very, very rare. You could walk through any district of Tokyo, and if a group of young guys were coming towards you on the footpath, you'd walk through the middle of them and they wouldn't even think of saying anything to you, never mind doing anything physically or trying to rob you. So that's the kind of background level that most people over there training in the various martial arts don't really think of it as being something necessary for self-defense. It's an art, or it's a sport, primarily a sport these days, or a cultural thing. I saw 2 instances while I was there where the police were confronting somebody, and in both it was a drunk. They were just arresting a drunk. In 6 months I was there, and Arthur Tansley, who'd been there for 4 years, he said, well, I've never seen anything. He said, you must go looking for trouble. So that's the background level. Having said that, when Terry first went to Japan in 1970, when he came back, he said that a lot of the young karate guys that he knew told him that after training they would pull a tracksuit on over their gi, go down to Shinjuku and have fights with the Yakuza to test out their techniques. And I was told this myself when I was there. A couple of my seniors told me about it. They'd done it. They'd engaged in that behaviour, and one of them gave me some advice on how to fight against a sword, because the Yakuza carry short swords. So the fights were really violent, and I'm sure there was bloodshed. But the guys could usually take care of themselves. Having said that, again, in my opinion, the real breakthrough in the use of the martial arts in self-protection came when British doormen who had martial arts backgrounds started teaching, started writing articles in magazines, and started writing books, giving the realistic and practical application of how to confront violence. Things like situational control, things like verbal build-up, things like mindset, things like looking for combat indicators, which added to a base of martial arts techniques, which were usually the most simplified ones, the ones that tend to work, really advanced the dance to a high degree. And I think, I would say, really, that's where real, true practical self-protection really came to the fore. So the books really are a reflection of how we used to think, myself included, before I got practical experience myself working in security, and associating with the guys like Jeff Thompson, Pete Constantine, Gary Spires, who were teaching this stuff and writing the material on it. So just as by way of illumination, I met one of the guys who was one of the Gaijin assailants, George Hoff, and I had a cup of tea with him in Tokyo. And he had been in a couple of the books, and he was doing, he was a knife assailant. And during a break in the photography, he happened to mention, he said, this stuff wouldn't work. And of course, this is an affront to the very highly respected master Nakayama. And he said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well," he said, "that's not how a knife's used." Now, George had trained in the Southeast Asian methods of weapons training to some extent, so it was put to the test, and George attacked in a more realistic manner, and the master ended up getting his arm cut. So it was quite embarrassing, and I took that on board, that if you're facing weapons, have a look at the systems that actually specialize in weapons to a high degree, and that's a path I followed. So from a kind of historical point of view, the books are interesting. I certainly enjoyed them when they came out, but for relevance today, maybe not so much.